Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Jane's Fighters Anthology. In yesterday's sorties, we were protecting CSAR crews as they searched for downed airmen off the coast of the Ukraine, and we also protected Marine Hornets as they conducted ATARS runs over areas that have been hit by U.S. airstrikes, and we suffered a lot of damage to our Tomcat in the process. So now, let's see what we have for today's sorties.
Looks like the Russian war machine is beginning to crumble. We've had numerous reports of Russian units surrendering or simply turning home. Here's a good one. A Russian infantry unit joined up with a T-72 regiment belonging to the Polish army. When they realized their mistake, they just put down their weapons and called it a day. Anyway, we're going to continue harassing the enemy until a formal ceasefire is signed.
I've assigned you a sector near Kirovohrad. Load up on bombs and practice ground attacks on any Russian vehicle you come across. Russian air activity has been minimal these last few days, but check 6 often. It'll be a real tragedy to come this far and not see it through to the end.
Alright, Hazy Day, USS Eisenhower CVN 69. Date June 3rd, local time 0830 hours. Weather, fog. Situation, the Russians' offensive is deteriorating, with aircraft being lost at an alarming rate, tanks in disrepair, and infantry deserting in large numbers. The Russians will sue for peace. Mission objective, aircraft are being assigned sectors with orders to destroy Russian vehicles with impunity. Your primary objectives are tanks. Order of battle, recommended aircraft F-22N, recommended weapons AGM-84E, threat suppression data, ground opposition 2S-6s, ZSU-57s, air opposition, possible Mi-24 helicopters. So we have one expert wingman. We'll be hitting northwest of Kryvyi, or however it's said, and Kiev, and south of Kiev. We can see that the offensive from Poland has made progress, and they've captured the 2 border airfields. The Russians have probably pulled back to this river from which they can overlook from this small mountain range here, which would be a really good defensive position if we weren't going to flank them through Belarus like they did to the Ukrainians. We can also see we've taken Kherson and Odessa, so about the western half or so of the Ukraine has been liberated, give or take. So this war is drawing to a close. We'll take our Hornet, and what we're actually going to do is we're going to take these SLAM missiles. Actually, really? Oh, that kind of sucks. Anyways, we're going to take these and hope there's not too many targets, because it's foggy out. So our Mavericks are going to be useless. And, but these SLAM missiles, they have a GPS and INS homing systems, so they should still be useful for striking these, as long as we knew their positions beforehand. If the vehicles moved, then we'd be out of luck. But since this game is vehicles, they can move, they have a tendency not to though, and I think that they model this as precision regardless, so we're going to take those. We'll get started, and hopefully that'll allow our wingmen to attack too, because that's one of my biggest complaints is in the fog when we're loaded up with bombs. Our wingman doesn't do anything, at least not that I've seen. So hopefully this will get him in the game too. We'll take out these helicopters. We can see there's Air Force F-15s providing top cover for some A-10s. So, we're in good hands all around. Our wingman's starting his run.
17 miles, 1 o'clock. Impact! Crash and burn! Crash and burn!
Alright, we'll have them take care of the other
Engaging.
Mi-24, because the last thing I want is that thing on our tail.
Flash 1 bandit.
Okay,
Disengage.
you can disengage. We see there's a fortification here, bunker system, fuel tanks, SAMs, which those should be pretty useless too, even at low altitude, because of the fog.
5-2. Descend to Angel 1.
Alright.
6 miles, 1 o'clock. Attack tank, you're 1 o'clock. Engaging. 6 miles.
So we're gonna take this T-80. Slam is off the rails.
6 miles. Deploy. 5 miles. Beautiful! I'm taking a shot.
Okay, that first one failed, or we didn't have a good lock or something.
Bullseye!
Alright. That's what I want to see. So we'll have our wingmen weapons free on tanks.
1 mile, 9 o'clock.
And we're going to go out to about 5 miles and turn her around. I was hoping we'd be able to kill multiple tanks with the fact that we can only carry 4 of these. Good thing they got them all stacked up at a depot.
5 miles.
That sounded really close.
4 miles. I'm taking a shot.
There's a tank and 2 trucks.
10 o'clock. Attack tank. You're 10 o'clock slow. Engaging. Firing. Missile.
Alright. So, now that we have our wingmen actually in the game, this mission should be a
5
cakewalk.
miles.
So, thank you, Russia, for putting your vehicles in a depot. At least, I think it's in a depot. They're just kind of sitting out in the open, so
4
close
miles.
enough.
1 o'clock. Attack tank.
Here we go.
I'm taking a shot.
If we're really lucky, this might be the
3 miles.
last tank.
2 miles. In range. Attack tank. You're 12 o'clock slow.
Nope.
Engaging.
But it's the second to last tank, and our wingmen should have a missile left.
Firing. Missile.
Alright.
Disengage. Proceed to waypoint Charlie. Bearing 87.
So this ended up being
Mission accomplished. Contact.
a lot
Tank.
less
You're
stressful than I thought it would be.
5 miles. Please
I am granted, we still have the landing to do, but things are looking up. So in the meantime, we have more weapon facts. The AGM-84E SLAM, which is the missile we used in this mission. It's a subsonic, over-the-horizon, air-launched cruise missile developed by Boeing based off the McDonnell Douglas Harpoon missile. It's an all-weather day-night precision. Provides all-weather day-night precision attack against high-value targets. What it does is it basically takes a Harpoon missile, the air-launched variant, and it changes out the guidance section and replaces the active radar seeker with a GPS receiver, a walleye optical guidance section, a Maverick missile data link, an INS guidance section, and an IR imager for terminal homing. And the warhead is replaced with a Tomahawk warhead. It was developed in only 4 years, and it was first deployed during the first Persian Gulf War, and was actually used by Hornets and Intruders in Operation Desert Storm before official operational testing had even begun.
proceed to waypoint Echo. Bearing 181. Maintain.
It was also used in strikes in Bosnia before Operation Joint Endeavor, and it was replaced in 2000 by the AGM-84H SLAM ER, which was an enhanced range variant. And the SLAM could be carried by FA-18s, P-3 Orions, S-3B Vikings, and A-6 Intruders. And the other missile we ended up using today was the AMRAAM. Now, the AIM-120 AMRAAM has its origins in the semi-active homing Sparrow missile and the long-range terminal-active Phoenix missile.
Descend to Angel 0. Clear to left.
Okay, so this can wait until we're off final approach. Oop, too far that way.
Wind at 1 knot. Go left. 2 miles. Fire. 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 Lower. Call the ball.
We should be seeing it. We're only a mile away.
Lower.
There he is.
Lower.
Oh, now you went lower.
Lower. On the ball.
We're coming in a little fast.
Fire.
I think it's going to be okay.
Fire.
Alright, we caught the first wire on a fog landing. I will gladly take that. Hopefully this is the last fog landing we're going to have to do in this campaign. So we'll just go park ourselves. Alright. So, back to the AMRAAM. The DoD conducted an extensive evaluation of air tactics between 1974 and 1978. And this was called the Joint Test and Evaluation it was considered a joint test and evaluation exercise, and they designated it the Air Combat Evaluation Air Intercept Missile Evaluation, or ACEVAL AIMVAL. And these exercises pitted F-14s and F-15s with AIM-7 Sparrows against F-5s with AIM-9 Sidewinders. The F-14s and F-15s also had Sidewinders as well. And what they found was that because of the semi-active illumination requirement for the Sparrow, because they had to keep closing the distance by pointing their nose at the aircraft they were targeting, they typically closed to within Sidewinder range, which allowed the targeted aircraft to get off a Sidewinder before it was hit, which then ended up hitting the F-14 or F-15. So they resulted in mutual kills, which obviously isn't desirable. So they realized that what they really needed was a Phoenix-type homing system in a Sparrow-sized package. So the U.S. signed a memorandum of agreement with European allies to develop an advanced medium-range air-to-air missile, the AMRAAM. The European team was supposed to develop an advanced short-range air-to-air missile, the ASRAAM. Now, that development was troubled a bit, and most of the partners withdrew, and currently the only users of it are Britain and maybe Italy, but it ended up being primarily a British project rather than a general European project. Now, some of the requirements for this project was that the missile had to be carried on aircraft as small as the F-16 or the Harrier or the F-18, and the Navy wanted to be able to fit 2 AMRAAMs on a rail that would normally carry 1 Sparrow missile. That way they could double their armament. It also had to fit inside the F-22, which at the time was still under development, but it had internal weapon space that it would have had to have fit into. And the Russians were also developing their own version, which was the AA-12 Adder, and it's nicknamed in Russian service the Amaramsky. And the AMRAAM was produced by Hughes starting in 1991, and Raytheon took over in 1997 after they bought out Hughes. And It officially entered service in September of 1991, and they actually tested it on Tomcats in 1982, but it never saw service on the Tomcats. They needed a software update, which by the time they were getting around to doing that, the Tomcat was going to be withdrawn from service, so they never implemented AMRAMs on the Tomcat. And the AMRAM incorporates a data link so that the launching aircraft can guide it to its terminal activation point in combination with its onboard INS system, at which point it will activate its radar. And the missile also has a home on jam capability, so if you try to jam it, it'll just home in on your the emissions that you're putting out to jam it. The missile also has a snapshot mode where it goes active as soon as it's fired and locks onto the first target it sees, which is great in a self-defense scenario. Although, the game kind of models it, but not really. I think if you launch without a target in the game, it would just not home in anything. And the operational kill probability of the AMRAM has been calculated to be about 61% based on 18 missiles for 11 kills. And I think that figure may have been out of date, as I don't know if it included the recent downing of a SU-22 in Libya by an AMRAM. But what they did use was 6 MiG-29s, 18 missiles for 11 kills, 6 MiG-29s, a MiG-25, a MiG-23, an SU-22, and a G-Force Super Galib or a J-21, depending on where you look. It seems to refer to a different aircraft, and then 1 or 2 Army Blackhawks in a friendly fire accident. Now, the AIM-120A was the original production version, which is no longer in production. The AIM-120B started deliveries in 1994. I don't know the difference. My guess is improved software and electronics, but I have the warhead's the same, the range seems to be the same, which implies that the engine and control surfaces are the same. So I don't have much to go off of there, at least from what I looked through. The AIM-120C delivery started in 1996, and were produced in a couple different blocks. Starting with the C5 block, they had an improved warhead. The C variant also has clipped control surfaces to enable carriage in the F-22. The C6 block contains an improved fuse, and the C7 block began development in 1998 and has improvements in homing and range. And it was tested in 2003, and it's currently in service. Now, the AIM-120D is the latest version. It has a much greater range, improved guidance, and it began testing in August of 2008. And it contains a two-way data link. That way, the aircraft can actually see what the missile sees, so it can act as kind of a remote sensor. It's got a GPS-enhanced inertial measurement unit. It's got an expanded no-escape envelope and an improved high-angle bore sight capability, and the USN started fielding the D model in 2014. Now, a replacement for the AMRAM is currently in development. It was originally supposed to be the future medium-range air-to-air missile. However, that program was canceled, but there have been murmurs of a replacement for the AMRAM. As people have noticed, there is money going toward a replacement, but no one's talking about it. Raytheon also created the SlamRAM, which is an AMRAM launched from a Humvee and eventually a HIMARS, which was for an Army project for a tactical surface-to-air missile, and that was eventually canceled. And SlamRAM stands for Surface-Launched Advanced Medium-Range Air-to-Air Missile. Norway adapted the SlamRAM, though, into the NASAMS, or Norway Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System. Norwegian Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System. And it's currently being upgraded to use the AMRAM-ER missiles. And the AMRAM was first used on December 27, 1992, when a U.S. Air Force F-16D shot down an Iraqi MiG-25 that was violating the no-fly zone. Later on, it scored a second victory on January of 1993 when an Iraqi MiG-23 was shot down by a U.S. Air Force F-16C. Its third use was in 1994 when a Serb J-21 was shot down by the U.S. Air Force F-16C for Bosnia. During Operation Allied Force, 4 United States Air Force F-15Cs, 1 United States Air Force F-16C, and 1 Dutch F-16A MLU used AMRAAMs to destroy 6 Serbian MiG-29s. And then in June 18, 2017, a U.S. Navy FA-18E Super Hornet shot down a Syrian Su-22 that was threatening Allied quote-unquote forces in Syria. And the AMRAAM has been widely sold to U.S. allies, including Australia, Belgium, Bahrain, Canada, Chile, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Israel, Italy, Indonesia, Japan, only as for testing purposes though, Jordan, Kuwait, Morocco, Malaysia, Netherlands, Norway, Oman, Pakistan, Poland, Portugal, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, South Korea, Switzerland, Spain, Sweden, the Republic of China, also known as Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, UAE, and the UK. So it's pretty safe to say that the AMRAAM is one of the world's premier medium-range air-to-air missiles. And it's got a long service life ahead of it still. Probably at least another 10 years before a replacement gets anywhere close to being fielded, I'd say. If they're still not talking about it. Debrief, USS Eisenhower CVN-69. Date, June 3rd. Mission, Hazy Day. Resolution, success. Great job hunting those tanks in AAA. Drawing a bead on ground vehicles in low visibility is a bitch, but you came through. We took 16% damage, but we're alive. We destroyed all 8 tanks. We had a landing grade of 50%. Our wingman had no damage, but a landing grade of only 43%. Apparently both us and our wingman scored 2 helicopter kills, so that's 2 Hinds each. We took out 2 ZSU-23s, 3 tanks, which was a mixture of T-72s and T-80s, and 2 trucks. And our wingman took out 3 tanks. So, all in all, it's a good run. Let's get that Hornet back in service, and then let's start working on our Tomcat. So, hopefully we can get it back in service tomorrow. And that's it for this episode. So, next time we'll see if the Russians cave in and sign a ceasefire, or if they still want another beating. We'll see you then.